Hi everyone. A viewer recently wrote to me and asked my advice on what park I should visit. What would you have told him? Hi everybody, Mark here from the Average Me channel. This is going to be a fun one because I'd really like to hear your opinions on this. I recently heard from a viewer and he said his family is heading down to Walt Disney World, I believe he said in April, and he wanted my advice, my suggestions on just what to do, essentially. And that is one of the hardest questions to answer because there's so much going on at Walt Disney World. And, you know, I have so much, I don't know if it's advice or opinion to offer that you couldn't fit it into one video. So I'm going to narrow it down to just one little piece. Now, I think you need a little background information first. He has 3 children. I believe they were ages 2, 4, and 6. And he is staying off property. They are renting in another place with his brother's family. So that is the setup. He's got 2 days to spend at Disney property, and then they're going to spend a couple of days at some other theme parks and Universal. Now, my first advice, and I know this cannot happen, and I'm going to go into more detail in another video on this one. He's already determined where they're going to stay. But my first advice would be stay at a monorail property, and I would say specifically the Contemporary. Now, I know a lot of you are going to say, Mark, that's way too expensive. That's true. It is expensive, so that's something you have to weigh. But when you're dealing with children that young, the 2-year-old and the 4-year-old, it's so easy to get back and forth to the Contemporary. Children will get cranky, they get hot in the middle of the day, and it's so easy. In 7-8 minutes, you can walk back to the hotel, and they can play in the pool, and they can be in a cool environment, and you can grab some lunch, and it's just a nice break in the day, because it's really tough on kids that young to spend an entire day at the park. And you know the 2, 4, and 6-year-olds are probably going to, and this is going to be controversial too, what I'm about to say, but if they've never been there before, I think they're going to get the most enjoyment and the biggest Disney experience by being at the Magic Kingdom. So that would have been my initial advice. Now, you might say, well, I can't afford the Contemporary. Okay, I get that. Then you might want to consider that, but it is certainly a good option. You don't have to wait for those big crowds to get on and off the monorail. You can still take the monorail from the Contemporary if you'd like, but that walking is so convenient, and it just provides a nice break to get back to home base very easily and quickly when you're staying that close. Now, since this viewer was not staying on property, it came down to, do I go to Studios mainly because of Toy Story Land, or do we go to Animal Kingdom? They knew one day they're going to go to Magic Kingdom, so now they're looking at the other options. I get it. With a 2-year-old, a 4-year-old, a 6-year-old, who doesn't want to meet Woody and Jessie and go to Infinity and Beyond and all that? However, I advised him to go to Animal Kingdom. If you look at Toy Story, and if that's the main reason they're going for Toy Story Land, you essentially have 3 things, right? You have the Slinky Dog ride, you have the Saucer Spin, and you have Midway Mania. If you're going to Magic Kingdom already, Midway Mania and the, I forget what it's called, the Buzz Lightyear activity in Tomorrowland are very similar. I know Midway Mania has a 3D option, but they're very similar, so they'll get the same type of experience. And Slinky Dog ride, I think, is going to be way too intense, certainly for a 2-year-old and probably a 4-year-old. So I think you can meet those characters. You have a chance of meeting some of those characters at other places. You can certainly meet Buzz Lightyear in Tomorrowland. So if we're looking at the whole reason was go to Toy Story Land, I think the kids would probably get more enjoyment out of Animal Kingdom. Dino Land is great. Dino Land has so many fun things for younger kids to do. And they also get all the animals at Animal Kingdom, and kids love the animals. They love looking at the monkeys and at the chimpanzees and the colorful birds. And the animals are just so much fun. If they go on the safari, you can see just about any animal you can imagine, right? From the zebras to the giraffes, to the hippopotami, to the alligators. So I think there's so much more for a young child to do at Animal Kingdom than there is for them to do at the studios. And there's a lot of stuff for the parents to do as well, right? You have the Everest and the Cali. The Cali River ride is great for the whole family. If it's a hot day, you can get in there and you can get a little wet and have a lot of fun. And it's not a scary ride. It has some splashes and some dives, but for the most part, it's just a really fun ride. Mickey and Minnie are generally there to meet. The Festival of the Lion King is a spectacular show. Kids would love that. So my advice was to go to Animal Kingdom. And I'd like to hear your thoughts. Faced with that situation, now I know that everything depends on an individual situation, on who they are, what they've seen in the past, how many times they've been to the parks, which ones they've been to before, which ones they've never been to. There's so many variables. But given this situation, they're there with a family, 2, 4, and 6, and the specific reason that he gave me was, we kind of want to see Toy Story Land. What advice would you give? I'd love to hear down below. I know that people that watch are familiar with the parks, and we all have some great reasons behind the advice we give. I'd like to hear your comments down below, and maybe in a future video I'll follow up and I'll share some of those ideas that you left down below. As always, I encourage your comments. I don't always have time to reply, but I read every single one of them. I also am going to ask you to like and share the videos, and if you haven't already, please subscribe. I'm Mark from the Average Me channel.